I am not the type of guy who goes for fantasy anime. You know, most of the time I put it aside, unless it's god tier like Attack on Titan, or it does an unexpected twist like when Subaru challenges fantasy anime by, you know, being a decent character in an isekai anime. Like, who would have thought? However, when it comes to fantasy anime, 95 times out of 100, I already know that it's just some isekai power fantasy garbage. But there has been a shift. There has been a disturbance in the force, because there's been an actually good fantasy anime that has come out recently. And that show is Frieren. Frieren has been making huge waves in the anime community, and I first took notice of it from the fan art of the main characters, and I thought, you know, these are just some sick waifu designs, we'll forget about them in like 2 to 3 weeks, but no, I keep hearing about this show. Every time I log onto Crunchyroll, I see it on the home page for my recommended. The Trash Taste Boys keep talking about it almost every time that they bring up anime, like in the past few weeks, and it has reached an ultimate peak that new shows hardly get to. Frieren, at the time of this recording, is sitting at the top of my anime list and has been there for so many weeks at this point, which means that this show has touched the hardest fans to please. Full Metal Alchemist fans. So putting all these things together, I was like, you know what? I'll give this show a shot. Maybe it might be something, and oh boy, it was something. There are many aspects of Frieren that are incredibly goated. The world that the show takes place in is super engaging and full of life. The animation makes me have a cream explosion in my pants, and Fern's pout is so fucking adorable that I almost overdosed on cuteness the first time I saw it. However, there is one element of this show that brings it to new heights, and that element is friendship. You know, maybe the real Frieren was the friends we made along the way. Hey now, come on. Let me cook. I'ma cook you! Hey yo, Chotomate, let me cook! The main character of this show is an elf named Frieren. Shocker, I know. And she was this young elf that protected her village from demons with magic. And a human mage named Flum came across her. She saw the feat that Frieren accomplished. Defeating demons is no easy feat. And she sensed so much mana oozing out from her, and this intrigued her. So she decided to train Frieren in the art of magic, and that's what Flum did, and she trained her to the best of her abilities until she passed. But Frieren could live for thousands of years because she's an elf, and their lifespans are far greater than humans. So she just decided to devote herself to magic. I mean, she didn't care about the world around her due to her lifespan. The world changed so much during her life that she found it insignificant. So many things change over the course of 100 years from at least what I've learned from history classes, and she's lived for at least a millennium. So why would she care about the world around her? Well, Frieren definitely doesn't, and she just decided, you know what, I'm gonna travel across the land and just devote myself to finding new magical spells. And that was her life for a while. 1,000 years later, she was just chilling, doing her own thing, whenever an adventurer named Himmel came across her. Himmel is what you think of when the term fantasy hero processes in your brain. He is kind and he wants to help everyone around him, but he also wants to leave his mark on history by becoming an amazing hero, helping as many people as he can. So he decided that he'll defeat the Demon King, but he needed help doing so. He had to assemble a party of people that could help him on his journey. And before he met Frieren, he already acquired 2 people to join his party, Eisen the dwarf and Heiter the priest. Eisen is this badass dwarf that is super powerful and fearless with the smallest of things, but he gets a little bashful when he gets into a fight because, you know, like everything that they're fighting in the fantasy world is terrifying. Like, I could not comprehend myself fighting anything that they fought on their adventure. But he thinks fear is a healthy thing, and that's really what keeps him grounded. Meanwhile, Heiter is everything that a priest should not be. He is a heavy drinker, and he lies all the time to deceive people to get them to do whatever he wants. Very big sins all around. However, he always tried to be a little kind and to try to be in good faith to the goddess every day of his life. He wasn't perfect, but he didn't have to be. He was just a guy that wanted to have a good time with the boys while still trying to be a little faithful. And with this group of misfits all together, the only one thing that they needed was a mage, and Himmel heard rumors about this epic mage that lived in the forest, and that led them to Frieren. So he brought up this proposition to her, and she was like, yeah, I've got time. So the four of them journeyed across the land, making their way to the Demon King, and on their way to the climactic battle, Himmel wanted to stop along the way to help out everyone that needed help. This confused Frieren. The Demon King has been a menace on the world forever, for as long as that she can remember, so it made sense for her to join the party. And all these people will be helped if she helped them defeat the Demon King, so why are they helping them? However, Himmel had a different outlook on life. Sure, he believed defeating the Demon King would be a great thing for the entire world, but not everyone would be seeing the impact that they made directly. So he wanted to go to every little village that needed help to solve their problems. That way he could make an impact on everyone he came across because he believed that's what a true hero would do. Frieren still doesn't get it and is just like, okay, and they keep going on their adventure to save the world, and they do it. They defeat the Demon King, and so they headed back to where they started their journey, and they were greeted with a huge celebration, you know, as heroes get treated with. And they partied it up with everyone for one last night before Frieren was about to go back on her own adventure of just learning a bunch of magic. And the party was disappointed that she will be leaving because they want her to live in the same town so they could spend a little bit more time with her because they like hanging out with her as any friends would. But they understand that she lives much longer than them and she can do whatever she wants. They share one last moment where they look at the era meteors together, and it's a beautiful sight. Although, it could have been more beautiful if it wasn't for all the light pollution in the area. I mean, global warming, am I right? And Frieren knew of a better spot, so she promised to meet back up with them to take them to a beautiful view to watch this meteor shower in 50 years from now. And the party's a little worried that they won't be able to make it because, they age much faster than Frieren does, so they're a little skeptical, but they're still down to meet up with her if they are still alive. So Frieren went on her way, collecting spells and doing her own thing for the next 50 years, and she kept her promise because she met back up and she saw him, and time has not done him justice. Nevertheless, he is still down to meet up with everyone to go on one last adventure, and they do. They found the epic spot that Frieren talked about so long ago, and the view of the era meteors this time was breathtaking. Everyone was so glad that they got to spend one last moment together before they all passed. Himmel then passed away shortly after this, and this started to tear Frieren up inside. She didn't even know Himmel that much. She only traveled together with him for only 1/100th of her life, so she didn't think it was that important at the time because she had all the time in the world. Yet now he is gone, and he isn't coming back. Frieren regrets this, and she wishes that she got to know him better, and this was one of the first times she actually understood how short human lives are. And after this somber moment, Frieren had a new motivation in life. She wanted to learn more about human lives, and she goes on her way once more with this new drive. Flash forward about 20 years or so, Frieren has been continuing her quest of trying to learn how people work, and she was looking for Heiter to repay her debts before, he passed. But she was lost in the outskirts of the holy city, the town where Heiter now resides. And all of a sudden, this sweet-looking girl goes with Frieren to help her, and she takes her to the home of Heiter. He is ecstatic to see his friend once more, but he has a request for Frieren. He wants her to train the sweet-looking girl, whose name is Fern, by the way, just so you know. Frieren didn't want to because she didn't want to send this little girl to her death, which is completely fair. So Heiter had another request. He wanted her to decipher this book that had spells of resurrection and immortality, and train Fern on the side while she deciphered this. And Frieren was like, okay, I got a few spells out of this while I train her. Okay, I might as well do it. So she began working on the deciphering and the training. And Fern was making excellent progress. She was becoming a proper mage pretty fast, way faster than Frieren did. And then, eventually, after years of work, Frieren deciphered the book, but it didn't contain any spells that Heiter promised the book would have. This was because Heiter lied! Oh no, how can he do this? This is exactly what a corrupt priest would do. But he did this because this was his plan all along. Frieren wouldn't take Fern on her adventures if she wasn't a proper mage, so he gave her an excuse to train Fern so that by the time that he passes away, she can take Fern on her adventures. Damn, that's a 500 IQ move if I've ever seen one in my life. Jesus, Heiter, GG. Frieren respects his wishes, and then she takes Fern along on the adventure. and they continued to help out people throughout the towns that her party originally helped out with so that she could keep Himmel's ideals alive, until she headed to where Eisen resided to see, if he needed help with anything. And Eisen did. He had heard from Heiter's research that there was some of the legendary mage's Flum's work located somewhere in the forest. She had notes of how to converse with the dead and stuff, and he wanted Frieren to, find this because he knows of all the regrets that she had when Himmel passed. He knew that Frieren wanted to know Himmel better, so hey, this is the next best thing, talk to the dead, bro. And Frieren accepts this request because Eisen is such a good friend of hers, and they found Flum's notes, and they found out that the souls of people would gather at the most northern point of the continent, Ende. So Frieren, alongside Fern, decided that they're gonna go on a quest to find Himmel's soul so that Frieren can make up with him. And that is the basic premise of Frieren, and honestly, this concept is pretty cool. Taking a character that has lived for over 1,000 years and having her finally discover that connection is one of the most important skills in life is very intriguing to me personally. And I find the character of Frieren very relatable. While I have not lived 1,000 years, I've only lived 2/100ths of Frieren's life, but I have always struggled to make connections with people. I may come across as this very silly, outgoing, eccentric guy on the camera. However, in real life, I'm more so very reserved. A lot of the times I like to just do my own thing where I just vibe by myself whenever I hang out with friends. I mean, we're hanging out and I'm over here geeking out about the Mario Kart or the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games machines by myself, or I just start to vibe to the Hatsune Miku Just Dance type beat rhythm game, or I cry that I can't get my favorite quintessential quintuplet out of the claw machine. Why are these machines so hard, genuinely? And this is kind of like how Frieren just kind of collects spells doing her own thing, while she's doing this huge quest with her party. We both kind of dissociate when we are focused on our interests to where we ignore our friends. And I've tried to improve this many of times, but it is always an ongoing struggle, I'm still working on it to this very day. But seeing this badass hot elf chick who can definitely kick my ass struggle with the same issues that I have when interacting with people is so nice to see. It makes me feel like that I can still be able to take on the world even if I'm not the most confident with people, and that is beautiful and relatable. However, Frieren is not the only character in the show. In fact, the friends that we make along the way make this show even more special than if Frieren was just there by herself. And I want to take this section of the video to just talk about the friends that we make along the way of Frieren's journey. And I want to start off with the character Fern. I didn't mention Fern in my initial plot premise of the show, but who really is Fern? Hey, K-Sauce Kyahn here. Who is Fern from the hit anime and manga series Frieren? Well, Fern was an orphan after a war broke out in her hometown, and Heiter, the priest from Frieren's party, stumbled upon her. And he couldn't just leave her in the ruins of the only place that she has ever known, so Heiter took her in, and she now had a nice home and a father figure to take care of her. And Heiter sensed great amount of potential in her magical abilities, so he wanted her to practice magic and become a mage, but he didn't have a way to train her until Frieren showed up, and we already know what he did. He did the whole lying shebang and thingamabob, and it worked out in his favor to where Frieren was able to take Fern on the adventure that Frieren was going on. And that is how Fern got integrated into the story, but who really is Fern? Hey, K-Sauce Kyahn here. I already did this bit, but who really is Fern from the hit anime and manga series Frieren? Fern is this sweet girl, yet she does not sugarcoat anything. She tells the truth and does not want to deal with any bullshit. And this is a great counter to Frieren's carefree attitude whenever it comes to just anything. However, she is very hot-headed, getting irritated very easily, yet her pout is so adorable that I got type 2 diabetes from just how sweet this gaze is. However, she wants to try to be nice, and she's still learning how to convey her emotions in a mature way, just like Frieren. So not only is she going on a journey to Ende with her, but she's going on the same emotional journey that Frieren is going on, making Fern the perfect partner to go on this journey with Frieren. We also have Kyahn, who is a priest that joined their party for a tiny bit for the adventure. He wanted to be an adventurer ever since he was little, and he had the opportunity to do so when his friend the Guerrilla Warrior, yes, that is his real name, I'm not making this stuff up, asked him to go on this journey with him. However, Kyahn was a little hesitant. He was afraid of what the adventure could hold, so Kyahn decided that he would stay behind and wait for him to come back from his journey. And he became a priest, and somehow he's even more corrupt than Hyther. He drinks, he smokes, he gambles, which these are all the biggest sins that you could ever commit. You're going to HE double hockey sticks for that one. And Frieren and her squad approached him and asked Kyahn if he would be willing to join them on the adventure because, he has sick priest skills. And Kyahn is a little hesitant to join the party, but Frieren tries to keep convincing him, and Kyah's like, but family. And his brother bitch slaps him to tell him to try to not waste his life away and go find his boy, the gorilla warrior. And Kyahn was like, okay, bet. And so he joined the party and they vibed until he found some information about the gorilla warrior, and he went on his way to find his childhood friend so he can go on adventures with him. Overall, pretty cool party member. He just makes me want to start a nicotine addiction and gamble all my life savings away in a poker game with Mr. Beast to the point where all my possessions are owned by Jimmy Beast. Sick guy, and I want to have his babies. 8.7 out of 10. And honestly, there are so many cool characters in this show that I really just want to do a quick lightning round of all the cool characters that I find interesting in Frieren. We got Kraft, who is this elf monk that used to be this cool elf warrior that travels all across the lands and just is chilling and just gives everyone that he comes across kindness, which is always a beast. We got Denken, who is this imperial mage who wants to become a first-class mage so that he can travel to the Golden Land, because at the time, first-class mages are only allowed to enter because of demons swarming all over there, and he wants to go there so that he can visit the grave of his dead wife to pay respects, which is very sweet, and I strive to be that kind of husband whenever I actually, maybe, if I ever get married. We have Lion and Connie, who have been friends since they were very young, and they argue with each other about almost everything. However, both of their powers have a certain synergy that help keep them together, which shows us that the power of friendship always prevails. We have Richter, who has rock-bending magic so sick that it would make Toph from Avatar break a sweat. And we have Uevo, who is literally the goth dommy mommy of my dreams. Sure, she kills people, but that's fine. I can brush that aside because she can peg me any day of the week and all is forgiven. I want her to treat me like Anthony from Smosh when he busted a fat nut in their latest music video. She is just that much of a baddie. And all these characters are pretty epic, but there's one character that I have not mentioned at all at this moment, and that is the character of Stark. But who is Stark? Hey, K-Sauce Kyahn here. This bit has definitely aged like milk, but who really is Stark from the hit anime and manga series Frieren? Stark grew up in a warrior village in the Klee region, and he was a baby bitch boy growing up. He was ridiculed by his father for who he was and how much of a pussy he was. What a great father figure. However, his brother showed him an ounce of kindness and helped train Stark to become an outstanding warrior. And after a while, Stark was becoming somewhat confident, but the village all of a sudden was attacked by demons. However, Stark was full of fear, as any reasonable person would be. And his brother saw this and told him, hey, go run and save yourself to carry the family lineage. And Stark was like, I wanted to help, but if you insist. And he ran into the forest. And after a bit of time, Eisen found Stark in the woods, and Eisen saw him as a scared little boy, and he found that relatable. So he decided to train Stark to be the greatest warrior that he can make. And the two of them trained until Stark was so strong that Eisen was definitely scared of him, which led to an argument between the two that led to Eisen beating the shit out of Stark and giving him his iconic scar. This led to Stark leaving Eisen because, he wasn't going to deal with any of that. He wanted to be treated with respect. And he started to travel across the land until he ended up at this village in the Ryogel Canyon. And this village was being attacked by the solar dragon, and this was Stark's moment. He was going to take down the dragon. He was getting ready to take it down, and he couldn't move. He was paralyzed with fear. This behemoth of a beast was sizing him up, and he could not even move a single fingertip. And because of this, the dragon just felt pity for Stark and he just left. However, everyone in the town was impressed with whatever he did. This dragon has been terrorizing them for years, and he was able to scare it off. And because of this, they treated him like a king because, he's a hero that saved this land. And this caused him to feel guilty. He didn't really do anything, so he felt like he had to stay because if the dragon attacks again, he will actually have to be the one to stop them because he's the hero. But he's afraid. He thinks that he won't be able to stop it, and everyone in the town will see his true nature. He believes that he's a fraud in this community, and he doesn't know what to do. Fast forward a few months or so, and Frieren and Fern are just vibing on their adventure when they see this dragon with a spellbook in its nest, and they try to fight it, but they fail. But not all hope was lost, because Frieren remembered that Eisen told her about his apprentice Stark and about how he was just chilling in this area. So they decided to ask him if he could help them out with this, and he was like, "Yes, please, Frieren, help me out, please, please, please." However, Frieren needed Stark to distract the dragon for about 30 seconds or so she could attack it and charge up her epic super move. And Stark was very nervous about this. You know, he was afraid to confront his demons, but he was willing to give it a shot, which is always the best thing that you could do in any situation. So he attacks the dragon with some of the most goated animation I've ever seen in my life, and he defeats the dragon before Frieren was even able to charge up his super move to defeat the dragon. This shocks Stark. He was able to defeat the dragon that was looming over him for the longest of times by himself? He thought that he could never be the hero that this town thought he was, yet he was able to put his fears aside and become someone worthy of the title hero. The character Stark is so relatable to me. I know for a fact that I get so scared around huge challenges like this. While it isn't a huge dragon that is making me afraid, I still get afraid of so many things in my adult life that I really don't want to get into right now. And seeing Stark being able to push his own personal demons aside to rise to the occasion, I was like, bro, I want to be this man. I mean, he even looks like me. Like look right here, bro. Stark could have been the Lost Yuli triplet. Like, for all I'm saying, dude, he's just like me, for real, for real. Oh my god! Frieren is a show that will always be special to me. Not only was it a kick-ass fantasy show that had godly animation that is going to live rent-free in my head for years to come, but the characters are real people. Every character, even if they are side characters too, the side characters have motivations and desires, making everyone in the show feel like that they are a real person, that live in a real world. Whether it be Frieren, Fern, Stark, or the hottest goth Dami mommy that I've ever seen in my life, the characters are going through relatable struggles while they're going through these fantastical scenarios. This show is engaging, it is beautiful, and it is truly about the friends that we've made along the way. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on the hit anime show Frieren. If you want to watch more of my videos, you can click right here where the goat Kyle is to watch my last video about more than a married couple but not lovers. It's a cool analysis about romance when a lie tears the heart. Or you can click my face to subscribe to the YouTube channel to be notified about whenever I post another anime review, analysis, funniness, whatever I do, you'll be notified. Alright, I'm gonna go now because my camera's about to die and I've done this outro like 17 times because I could not get it right. So hopefully you like this one. Bye!